Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. Today we're back on the third update groundbreaking dev server, and it's time to have a look at a vehicle which is coming to the Israeli tech tree. Yes, Israel is being added, if you didn't know. It is first of all coming in an aviation portion, and then I'm sure down the line it will be more of a ground portion or a ground tech tree as well. At the moment, the Israeli tech tree is following the same model that many others have before it, so the premiums are getting released first, and then in an update in the future, the tech tree will come along. So this gives you an opportunity in update groundbreaking to buy these vehicles, and then you'll get access to the tech tree when it gets released, and also you have time to be able to grind out your crews. So it means it's a little bit easier to play once you get there. The first vehicle we're having a look at is the A-4E Late, and this in realistic is an 8.7 vehicle, and obviously we already have the A-4E and A-4B in game, but this one is slightly different to them. This main difference, at least physically, is the tail of this is completely different to the A-4E, and its armaments are very different as well when it comes to primary and also secondary stuff. Starting off with the armor, you have a little bit of a case when it comes to protecting the pilot from the front, so that'll be quite nice against AA from the ground, but nothing really too much else. And then from the X-ray point of view, this thing is powered by a Pratt & Whitney J52 P6A. This thing has 3,470 kgf of thrust in it, and at least from my perspective, whenever I've used the A4s, I always feel it's a little bit underpowered compared to, you know, other machines that are at its BR when it comes to its engine. Doesn't mean that you can't get a good turn off or anything like that, but it does generally mean that you are going to be a vehicle which is going to be a little bit slower than other ones which are around the place. Then you've obviously got the pilot. This vehicle does get access to Ccrp, which is super cool. If you don't know what Ccrp is, basically you can click a target on the ground, and then you can set up a kind of bomb point, and then it will tell you when to release the bombs on the ground. I can actually show you once we get into a test drive of this thing. Then we also have the ANAPQ radar, also an RWR on top of that, so that's really cool. And I've just realized the sidewinders aren't attached to the machine, but don't worry, remember, this is a dev server. I'm sure things will get fixed. But everything else on the vehicle is pretty standard in that regard. When it comes to the air-to-air ideas on the A4E, what it has access to is a pretty decent set of stuff. So first of all, countermeasures. It does get 60 of them, so in the forms of flares and chaff. It also gets AIM-9Bs. It can carry 2 AIM-9Bs, so very similar to the other A4s we have in game. No look for the chaff rears or anything like that yet. Maybe we'll see them in the future. When it comes to the guns on it as well, this thing actually has access to 30mm, the DEFers, and it gets 150 rounds per gun. It gets 2 of them, so 300 rounds overall is very, very good. 30mm, in my opinion, are the best when it comes to jet combat in War Thunder. They are really good, and it's really nice to see them on this machine here. The secondary armaments, which, you know, obviously this is a strike aircraft, so it does get an air spawn in RRB, and also will be useful in ground once the Israeli ground tech tree comes out. It gets access to some pretty cool stuff. So first of all, obviously all the normal bomb loads, so 250s, 500s, 1000s, and 2000s as well, in the form of this one right here. It also gets access to Walleyes, which is the new guided bomb, which is coming to the American tree. The A4E Lite will have access to 2 of them that you can use at the time, which will be really cool. So these basically you set them up with the TV guider. These are TV guided. You click a point on the ground and then you release, and it will track itself to that point on the ground. Obviously it needs enough momentum and everything like that, but obviously you can work that stuff out. It also gets access to rockets, so it gets some Mighty Mouses. It can carry 171 of these if you want it to. It also gets access to Zunis, so if you want a little bit of extra penetration over the Mighty Mouses, you can bring the Zunis. They also have a 6.8 kilo explosive mass, where the FFRs only have 0.89. So the Zunis are generally better for ground pounding in ground realistic, but obviously not as good on the general volume part, which is where the FFRs come in. Then you've also got the 3 cannons. This thing can also have the 3 20mm gun pods on it, so you can have 5 guns on this, which is kind of insane, but it just kind of how it is with this vehicle. The A-4E is a premium, so you will get all of these for free. It will come fully modified for you, and right now the rewards on it are 642% RP, which is very high, and also the 690% SL, which is also pretty high as well. Doesn't get access to any camos, unfortunately, but I'm guessing with the pre-order deal, it'll probably have access to at least one of the camos. So if you don't know how it works when it comes to the bomb targeting thing, I'll show you, and I'll also show you the new map, which is here, which is the Israeli test drive map, right? So it's on Sinai, which isn't a surprise. And also we can have a look at the cockpit of this A4. You have the RWR here, you have the radar here, it's in red, which is kind of interesting. And also you have all of the bells and whistles around. It's all in English, so that's pretty interesting. And we have a fully modeled cockpit for it, so you know, nothing too crazy there. And on Sinai, you get access in the test drive to 2 separate aircraft, so the MiG-15 and the MiG-15, so very standard compared to the other nations that you have. Then you have an SPAA with a medium tank, which is driving around, and then you have another medium tank over here, plus the SPAA, and there's another SPAA over there as well. So that's pretty much how, you know, it works. So to give you an idea of how the bomb marker thing works, you go into cockpit and you can activate target points, or you can switch mission bombing targets. That is if you just want to bomb a base, like in a mission, you can just switch between them and it'll set up for you. But if you activate a target point, so let's say there, obviously that's going to miss, but you get the idea. So we've set it up. All we have to do is hold our bomb series, and you can see the release permission. So it will, once the little line lines up with the circle, it'll release all the bombs, and because I have a bomb series on, and it'll hit that exact specific area that we marked. So this means that it's super easy to be able to bomb bases. It's super easy to bomb stationary targets. All you have to make sure to do is mark it in the first place. So just use the activate target mark and then be able to hit it from there. It's super easy, and it's pretty nice to do. One of the things that is interesting about this vehicle is that it does not have access to bomb Ccip, rocket Ccip, or gun Ccip. And I don't know whether it will or not, but when we look at the standard A-4E, which is of course in the American tech tree, the vehicle itself only has the bomb Ccrp2. So I've got a feeling that it won't get those things. It would be really nice if it did, make the vehicle a little bit easier to use. But yeah, unfortunately that doesn't seem to be the case with this. As I said, you do get the walleyes though, and the M9Bs will be pretty nice. So just to show you the walleyes, because they actually are working. The other bomb stuff isn't really working too well on the Jaguar, but the walleyes are pretty good. So it gives you the, what I'll call the Maverick view, but it's basically the TV monitor view, and you just line it up with something. You hit the button once to lock, and then you hit the button to drop. That's really all you do when it comes to the vehicle. I think this coming in, it's obviously not going to be the best dogfighter in the world. The A4s are not really designed for that. But from a strike fighter point of view, like being able to research through tech trees and stuff like that, this thing's going to be absolutely amazing. One of the things you got to remember is Israel, when it comes to the amount of vehicles it's going to have, should be a lot less, at least on launch, than many of the other nations in the game. So picking up something like this to use as a general grinder and not really worrying about KD and stuff like that is going to be a really nice addition, because of the fact that it's going to be really good at grinding those vehicles. It's going to be great at researching through the tech trees. I know a lot of people who basically use stuff like the A4s when it comes to America, and they use it to basically grind through a lot of the American tech trees, and it works really, really well to do so. Alright, there we go. And this one will be no different, but do remember that this thing is not going to come out at the same time as the Israeli tech tree. This thing is going to come out before, like a patch before. So if you're looking to grind out the Israeli aviation tech tree, you're not going to be able to do that straight away. So when it gets, you know, pre-order bonuses and stuff, like the premium time and all of that, you may not be able to use them to research what you want to research. But at the same time, it's still an A4. It's the only limitation this thing has over the other A4 is that it doesn't have access to AGMs, so its ground capability is definitely not as good as the A4E, but apart from that, it is really, really good. It's going to be a fantastic grinder, just you're going to get shot down a lot because of what the vehicle is, but don't worry too much about that because you'll still get that sweet, sweet RP and SL. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. I'd just like to thank Professor X 1718, Orange Tail, Sakoshi Tiger, BRFC 15, Teddy, John Ryman, Universe A, Eugens Terry, Ambrosius McClellan, Daniel Stanton, Martinez, B. Young, and then Kyle Kin, Bareen, Lafouche, and also Samuel Slick for supporting the channel.